Thank you very much for joining us for the main news on Camnet TV. Today, Saturday, the 12th of August, 2023. First, we take a look at the stories making the headlines. A LUSAKA woman disrupts a wedding of a self-proclaimed prophet. Senior citizens bemoan the lack of employment. Government opposes the proposal to establish a teachers' bank. And in international news, a concern mounts over the well-being of overthrown Niger leader Mohamed BAZOUM. In sports news, France bows out of the Women's World Cup. For details of these and other stories, join us shortly after this break.
Water is life. Each drop counts, and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
A senior citizen in LUSAKA has bemoaned the high unemployment levels in the country, which he says has negatively impacted him and his family. 83-year-old Samuel Lombe says he is a bricklayer by profession, but that he and his colleagues have been unable to find jobs despite assurances by government that they should form a cooperative and participate in the many projects under the Constituency Development Fund. Meanwhile, another senior citizen, Moses Maregani, says he and his colleagues applied for jobs under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, but that they were never considered. Here's a report.
They say age is just a number, and true to that, this 83-year-old man of LUSAKA, identified as Samuel Lombe, has refused to allow age to limit him from working in order to make ends meet. Mr. Lombe wakes up every morning to look for employment, but the high unemployment levels coupled with the high cost of living has continued to affect many people in Zambia, despite all the effort that the government has continued to put in place to curtail the vice.
Naintezi patali bafuire obuteko bwatwafuirisha nifetu apokere cyaro eki ubuteko bwiturekereshayo ko twafuma kutali ababonsha abana tufire barefaya bayikara bwino bantu twali bomba kale nomba apanachi tushupe nchitata kuri yota pali feturechita nda turachitareni uminister ureba ngatwalirishikirako tabatwafuisha nanguchimoyo abatinchitata kwa.
Other senior citizens have shared the same sentiments as those of Mr. Lombe and explained that despite them forming cooperatives and applying to undertake some of the projects being done under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, they have never been considered by the relevant authorities, hence making life difficult for them.
Nomba inchito tabale tupela nga tuwayako kusaiti takuli na nguchimo bale pela bana twatumako chairman kusaiti bale pela bana twalisa kuli ba DC bale kwetwe batira la mutamfya popano pela tapale formule chitapo pala ero foot bale chita consider bana kashi na aba umya bayiche ero ni shifo fwe bakalamba ni fetu lesunga bayiche ni fetu twala bana kumasukuru nomba chimbi ifwe ngachali cha kuti batatu consider kwati bakaunda bale go back to the land bale pela fyoto basenda fya bakote baba pela na kapanga so filia baba pela ngani 200 by 200 baba pela bale ikarapo pala abana bale iseko bale bamwena namba bale tufeka shite olupia tola lumona kuisa.
Others have also bemoaned the high cost of living, especially the high prices of Zambia's staple food, which is mealie meal.
Isto ubunga 250
so vochita mzero yamba kusira kama nchito sipezeka kutu presendramo kule chakuti
shepo bakateka
With unemployment levels being high among the youths, who are the majority in Zambia, the senior citizens have also not been spared from the situation, which calls for the government of the United Party for National Development, UPND, to do more to ensure that they address the challenges pertaining to unemployment and the high cost of living. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Now, drama had engulfed Saturday morning Lusaka's Chaisa compound after a wedding of a self-proclaimed prophet was cut short by a woman he had left at home at her parents' house with a child. Now, according to Nancy Sakara, not her real name, the said prophet picked her from her parents' house in 2021 with the promise to marry her, but after she conceived a child, he ran away and only heard that he was marrying another woman. Now, Camnet News witnessed the short-lived ceremony.
Indeed, not everyone on earth agreed as this wedding in Lusaka's Chaisa ended dramatically. A self-proclaimed prophet dodged her parents' house, leaving in their custody a woman bearing his child. It was all rosy, but not until the moment the presiding preacher requested for anyone to oppose the union from the audience. From the crowd came the woman, Nancy Sakara, not her real name, the girlfriend he picked from her parents' house, promised marriage, but here marrying another woman. The incident sent the small cheerful gathering into disarray, and comfort was coming from all angles, including secular music. After about 3 hours of deliberations, the wedding was eventually called off. Mother to the groom told this reporter off camera that efforts to advise his son against the wedding fell on deaf ears and was excited with the outcome. The groom and his party attempted to physically attack this reporter, demanding all footage to be deleted. Further attempts to interview the groom and other family members were turned down on fear of being exposed. Away from the wedding scene, Sakara explained that she opted to disband the wedding as the said prophet left her languishing with his son.
Kumbali enzo kubwela kunyumba kwangu kamba chawe nza kukwatira tasunga pamozi mwana. Apa kumvera luma kuti awe achita wedding nwanda nezina bwela kuti ni bweni ishinikishe niona ndinilese because uja muntu akaboni tulo manja mama parents wanga ananitaba mu nyumba. My parents nkudala pamena choka because apa ni donza 3 years. Mwanzali mu 2021.
Meanwhile, Concerned Citizens for Justice and Human Rights Executive Director Richard Nkua has condemned the behavior of the said prophet.
Around is doing illegal thing which is not supposed to be done according to the Bible. So we totally condemn as organization, and we also further advise other men to say, let's not engage into illegal activities. Let's finish up with other things. That's when you can engage into other activities. Women must be protected, and also women should also...
For now, Concerned Citizens for Justice and Human Rights is in the process of reconciling stranded Sakara with her parents he left about 3 years ago for the said prophet. For Camnet News, Afia Skaptula, Lusaka.
The Association of Vendors and Marketeers in Zambia, AVEMA, has proposed to the government that authorities in Lusaka should designate one street where vendors can be trading from. AVEMA President Abel Chikwa has described as unfortunate the situation where vendors who were removed from Lusaka Central Business District are settling back onto the same streets. However, Lusaka City Council Mayor Chilando Chitangala has called for mindset change, saying no street will be given to vendors as this has been the recipe for the vending which became uncontrollable. Here's a report.
Traffic congestion, environmental pollution, visual pollution, reduced food safety and tax invasion are some of the impacts of street vending. On 18th July 2023, government said enough is enough as they moved in to remove all vendors from the streets of the LUSAKA Central Business District. However, some of the vendors cannot just call it quits as they are slowly finding their way back onto the streets. Association of Vendors and Marketeers in Zambia has condemned the conduct of some vendors who are returning to the streets. Association's president Ebo Chikwa has however called on the LUSAKA City Council to identify one street and give it to the vendors for them to trade from.
It's very unfortunate that we cannot sit around the table and find a lasting solution with the government. You know, streets are not only for us, they are also for other people that want to use them. So there must be sanity where we are doing our business. So the best way is to seek his government and find a lasting solution. Maybe getting up some streets and having them, for street vendors at certain times, because we may inconvenience other users that are coming to buy from us the way we used to do. We must do smart vending and regulate the way we do vending.
However, Lusaka City Mayor Chirando Chitangala feels the opposite.
We will not provide any street in Central Business District because that will invite them just to stay. We know we've been through that before. And I think people must understand that it was a very big public health challenge in the city. Do you want us to go back that route? I think that is not what we're supposed to go through. Yeah, we can just manage it now. We just have to put in sustainable measures so that this lasts for a very, very long time to come. And people must understand it's just not for the local authority or central government, it's for their own good.
She has warned that patrols will continue and those found wanting who face the law.
Enforcement will be intensified. We still have our Zambia State Police, Zambia Police, still going around with the council police. They're still taking rounds, going here and there. But obviously, we still have some notorious vendors who have decided not to go back to designated areas.
Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
The Zambia National Association of Persons with Physical Disabilities, ZNAPD, has urged government to reserve 5% of Constituency Development Fund, CDF, to buy mobility aids for persons with disabilities to enable them access the funds. ZNAPD Executive Director Douglas Makusa notes that the money through increased CDF has been taken to local communities but is still inaccessible to most persons with disabilities as they have mobility challenges. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Makusa says according to international protocols, government should reserve 5% of CDF to persons with disabilities to enable them have equal access to the funds.
For persons with disabilities to participate, they need these assistive devices. For a person who needs a wheelchair, cannot move from one place to another if they don't have a wheelchair. So there are many assistive devices which are needed. So since the money has come into the constituency, so we are saying, can we have a 5% of the constituency development fund towards the procurement of assistive devices or assistive technologies, which are now widened because it's not only these mechanical things, we also need their software, their what for the blind, for them to be able to communicate easily, because we cannot read what they write in Braille, like for example the blind. So to change it into print, there are certain machines which are needed, so that that which they have written can be turned into print, into the print, so that you can read them. So there are a lot of assistive devices, because even from the report which the Minister of Community Development gave at the UN, in pursuant of the UNCRPD. She categorically said the challenge we have is the provision of these assistive devices. So that is why we have been singing about government to look into the matter.
The United Party for National Development, UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda, has implored party members to exercise patience as President Hakainde Hichilema's promise to take care of them all will soon come to pass with the support from the international community. Mr. Imenda says the UPND government has received goodwill from the Africa Development Bank and that the party will soon have the mantle to take care of its members. The party's chief executive officer says the president has been setting the foundation for economic emancipation, and following the debt restructuring process, opportunities for massive development have opened up. The party's Secretary General, however, says he is disappointed that the opposition Patriotic Front has opted to undermine every effort that the UPND administration is making to get the country out of the economic mess they allegedly created. Mr. Imenda made these remarks in Lusaka's Chawama constituency when he received over 380 defectors from the opposition Patriotic Front.
Tinapita mwambili kuti Chawama ingaleso yagala PS. That's why tichipanya futi.
No abare vanga inena joina kujoini watu manje UPND ni muntu wangu. Chilandileni na kutika kutiti kale vantu monzi. Mwamene alili eve president wa Zikoli alibeka patulula.
The plan that has the President Hakainde Hichilema has for you people, all the members, old members, he will look after you, new members look after you. After all, he's the president for the country. I want to tell you that President Hakainde Hichilema has received so much support from African Development Bank. With that money, we'll look after you. From the money pledged by the European Union, President Hakainde Hichilema is making sure that all the members of his party, from the National Management Committee, the province, the district, the constituency, down all the way to wards and the polling station management committees, he is saying, I'll look after my people. You should not panic and say, we are not looked after, because the man has got a grand plan for you. He's making sure that he is where he is today because of your commitment and recognition of realizing that he's the only person who can lift this country from poverty to middle economy to first world. 10 years after today.
One nation! One Zambia!
The Movement for Restoration of Teachers' Affairs, MORETA, has urged government to recruit teachers in the long-awaited 2023 teacher recruitments. MORETA National Coordinator Dr. Samuel Mbumba says there is still a shortage of teachers in schools, which needs to be filled. Speaking during a press briefing in Lusaka, Dr. Mbumba has, however, urged government to upgrade teachers in wrong salary scales with their suitable categories. Here's a report.
The Movement for Restoration of Teachers' Affairs, Moleta, has called for the repeal of the law governing the registration of teacher unions in the country. Since its formation, Moleta has been against the multiplicity of unions, claiming it is bringing confusion in the sector. Reigniting its cause Saturday during a press briefing in Lusaka, Organization National Coordinator Samuel Mbumba says government should repeal the law to curtail the increasing confusion in the sector.
All representing the same industry. This is madness. Who bewitched the education fraternity? Why are teachers leaving classrooms to form unions when we are still crying that education is understaffed, and yet we are here watching teachers every day forming unions?
Meanwhile, Dr. Mbumba has called on government to recruit teachers that were budgeted for in the 2023 national budget.
However, Moleta Zambia is proposing that before the recruitment is done, let the government firstly upgrade the long-serving teachers who are in the wrong salary scales in order to motivate those who have sacrificed enough for this country before the new consignment of teachers is brought about.
He has since called on schools to avoid abusing educational grants that are meant to cater for free education policy. Professional Teachers Union of Zambia Pro Tools General Secretary Kangwa Msenge has since welcomed the call by Moleta.
Definitely appealed for the Ministry of Labour to expedite the SI, which the unions proposed, that the formation of the union should follow a certain procedure. And this procedure should be adhered to by those who intend to form trade unions. The proposed SI is already in place and it's sitting with the Ministry of Labour. And I'm sure at a point when it is going to go to the Tripartite Consultative Council meeting, it will be dealt with.
Currently, the teaching profession in Zambia has about 9 teacher unions. For Camnet News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
Ministry of Mines and Minerals Director, Cadastre Department Samuel Mango says the ministry has come up with a concept paper for critical minerals and that once it is approved by this higher authorities, it will be the national strategy on critical minerals. Mr. Mango says critical minerals include sugilite and lithium, among others, which are very critical to the Zambian economy. He says the ministry has not just been sitting on the issue of sugilite, but that it is working to ensure that the right procedures are followed when mining these critical minerals. Meanwhile, the Zambia Revenue Authority ZRA Assistant Director at Zano and Small Scale Mining, Hambani Ngwenya, says the authority is devising mechanisms to ensure that it increases the collection of revenue from the mining sector.
Of course, we agree that there were some delays, but somewhere last year, February 2022, we had a moratorium. We had stopped to issue licenses just to analyze our deficiencies, and we did that. And very soon we'll be fully computerized, so that will quicken the process of licensing. Yes, we admit we had delays, but we are working on them. We are improving. We've come up with a concept paper. We are calling them critical minerals in general. They are critical minerals for national development. And as such, we've worked out a concept paper. Once it's approved by higher authorities, it will be a national strategy on critical minerals. So we've not sat back. We've worked out a strategy to make sure that we'll benefit from these critical minerals.
The Ministry of Education Permanent Secretary Administration, Joel Kamoko, has encouraged education stakeholders to collaborate with the ministry in delivering quality education in the country. Reacting to submissions made by some stakeholders to introduce gender as a subject and the establishment of a bank for teachers for cheaper loans, Mr. Kamoko clarified that the ministry already has a gender policy and that some subjects such as civic education already cover gender education. He laments that the ministry does not support the establishment of a bank for teachers because they are part of the civil service, further stating that every civil servant is entitled to cheaper loans, not only teachers.
We actually do have a department called Gender Division. And also that government has gone further to create gender focal point persons in all ministries. Sometimes I wonder whether it's desire for us to sound intelligent that we speak to each other. Probably what we would be saying is that as we gender mainstream at all levels, starting at the level of curriculum, at the level of teacher training, at the level of in-service training of teachers, we should make our teachers more gender sensitive and ensure that at all times, yes, we should not accept going back to GBV. We should never justify violence against the girl child. For teachers to enjoy their work, they need easy access to financial facilities. As evidenced in Zambia today, most of our banks have opened their doors to the various public service workers. But government has gone further and set up a special institution that gives loans to as little as 5%. And this is meant for public workers, which alongside, for me, I believe public workers include teachers in Zambia. But I do believe that when you want to set teachers completely very different from the rest of society, then we are misunderstanding the whole concept of socialization and teachers as players in a large society. We are part of this economy. Maybe we should begin to relook what are we doing different that the world is admiring, as opposed to the current approach where we are always complaining about everything as though we are polluting at the expense of educating.
On that note, we break for some commercials. We have more news. Don't go away.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, chew me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back, and now for the rest of the news. The Ministry of Health has delegated the HIV testing campaign, which will be launched on Tuesday, the 15th of August 2023, to local authorities in order to reach the masses. Speaking when she engaged civic leaders from across Lusaka province, Health Minister Sylvia Masebo says the local authorities are well structured to reach the masses. Meanwhile, Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary in charge of administration, MOHAMED, has called for collaboration in disseminating HIV messages. Here's a report.
28,000 people get infected with HIV/AIDS every year in Zambia, most of them young people. This figure shows how HIV is still a health concern in this country. This is why, as the HIV testing campaign gets launched by Republican Vice President Mutalena Lumango on Tuesday, 15th August 2023, the Minister of Health has engaged the local authorities to spearhead the campaign. Speaking when she engaged civic leaders today, Minister of Health Sylvia Masebo understood that councillors are well positioned to reach out to every individual in their wards.
So we want to give power to those that are closer to the people. So this process today is just an example of a transfer of one function to the local authorities. And I believe and I'm convinced that in a very short time, the whole Lusaka district, people will know about what is HIV. People will know the importance of testing for HIV, because you can only protect yourself by first getting tested.
Ms. Masebo also assured that councillors will be capacitated in order for the campaign to be a success.
So what is going to happen, in fact, is that for this year, Ministry of Health will still budget for those functions under Ministry of Health, but the money will actually be expended by councils. That is this year for next year. I think by next year, for the other year, you will start budgeting yourselves. And I think that we'll start spending money in an effective manner, in a more efficient manner, because the resources will be right at the bottom of the local council itself.
Speaking at the same event, Permanent Secretary in charge of administration at Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, MOHAMED, called for togetherness in order to achieve a common goal.
Let us coordinate, let us collaborate so that together we can achieve our objective, our common objective, and that is to ensure that we have, first of all, we all know what our status is, and beyond knowing what our status is, we can move on to the other stages which will ensure that we live longer and we contribute to the betterment of our society.
Also at the meeting was Lusaka City Mayor Chirando Chitangala and Chiranga Council Chairperson Champion Tembo, who assured that local authorities have accepted the challenge to convince masses to know their HIV statuses.
We accept this challenge. We will work with our churches and our schools. We've heard, honorable councillors, that the age group that is really affected right now is between 15 and 24. So that causes a lot of concern because these are children.
Us, today we have the Council for Lusaka, much appreciated. If it was amicable, then all the 10 provinces would have gotten the messages and distributed it to their councillors. So we appreciate, we agree with what you have said.
The HIV testing campaign, which will be launched by Republican President Mutale Nalumango on Tuesday next week, will be themed Young People Make a Difference, Test for HIV. Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
The Young Men Christian Association Zambia YMCA says it is happy to join the global community in commemorating the International Youth Day, which falls on the 12th of August every year. Origination National General Secretary Esther Zulu says this year's theme, Green Skills for Youth Towards a Sustainable World, highlights the critical role that young people play in advancing environmental sustainability. Ms. Zulu says the world faces increasing environmental challenges and that it is essential to empower young people with the knowledge and skills necessary for building a sustainable future. She says there is need, therefore, to channel more resources towards harnessing young people's talent, creativity and passion to address pressing environmental issues such as climate change, pollution and resource depletion.
And skills necessary for building a sustainable future. This year's International Youth Day serves as a platform to raise awareness about the importance of nurturing green skills among the youth and ensuring their active participation in sustainable development efforts. As rightly observed by the United Nations, green skills are relevant for people of all ages, but they have heightened importance for younger people who can contribute to the green transition for a longer period of time and pass on the knowledge and skills to generations after them. There is need, therefore, to channel more resources towards harnessing young people's talents, creativity, and passion to address pressing environmental issues such as climate change, pollution, and resource depletion. By providing opportunities for youths to develop green skills, we can collectively work towards building a more environmentally conscious and resilient society.
Choma district in the southern province is expected to meet its new target of 16,000 metric tons of maize purchased from local farmers after a 100% increase in the ongoing 2022-2023 crop marketing season. Choma District Commissioner Gamela Sigalea says the district is set to reach 10,000 metric tons of maize reserves this week from the initial 8,000 metric tons target. Mr. Sigalea notes that the Food Reserve Agency FRA in the district was prompted to increase its maize target following the overwhelming response from the local farmers who are supplying their crops to the agency. He adds that in terms of bags, the district stands at 90,691 by 50 kgs of maize.
To buy 8,000 metric tons of maize. But I want to announce that we have exceeded that. We are now closing to 10,000. But along the way, we are given a 100% increase. So the new target is 16,000 tons of maize. And I think by the end of this week, we will do 10,000. I think we'll have a balance of 6,000 tons. So in terms of bags, we are standing at 191,691 bags by 50 kgs maize, white maize. And also, I want to announce that FRA has been very efficient here in Choma because out of this 191,000, we have moved to safety 126,837. We have a balance of 64,000 at depots.
Authorities in the Ministry of Agriculture in the Southern Province have disclosed that the province has received 27,506 metric tons of compound D fertilizer under the Farmer Input Support Program. Southern Province Agricultural Coordinator Dr. Max Jombe says the 27,506 metric tons received is out of the targeted 27,400 metric tons, representing 92% already in the province. Mr. Jombe was speaking during the sensitization meeting for the FISIP implementation modalities for 2023-2024 season for all 15 districts in the Southern Province held in Choma.
Authorities in the Ministry of Agriculture in Southern Province have disclosed that the province has received 27,506 metric tons of compound D fertilizer under the Farmer Input Support Program. Southern Province Agriculture Coordinator Dr. Max Jombe says the quantities of fertilizer received are out of the targeted 27,400 metric tons, representing 92% of the allocation that is already in the province.
As a province, we have received the 27,506 metric tons out of the 27,400 metric tons, which translates to 92% of our allocation, which is already in the province.
And Acting Southern Province Senior Marketing Development Officer Dominic Mawumba says the FISIP implementation modalities for 2023-2024 season have changes that have been enhanced to facilitate smooth implementation.
There has been some changes that have been enhanced. One of them is instead of using the printed ATDs and ATCs as it were in the previous seasons, this time around we are using the electronic ATDs and ATCs.
Meanwhile, this program comes with its own challenges that need to be addressed.
As we go into this season, I want to appeal and warn our officers who are involved in the FISIP program. I want to tell them that all eyes are on them because everyone has interest in the program. And therefore we are asking them to be very sincere, to be very transparent.
Reporting, Lawrence Kabutu in Choma, Southern Province.
On that note, we take another set of commercials. Still ahead, we have international and sports news. Don't go away.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel. Every Monday to Thursday afternoon, join us for the Lunchtime Cafe. We get to bring to you emerging stories, making the headlines, midday news, and we remind you of what political leaders and governance actors said back in the days. In Forgotten Stories, we emphasize to you the importance of eating healthy foods and leading healthy lifestyles on the Nutrition Corner. Get the latest updates in sports and critical interviews. Because we value your contribution to national matters, we accord you an opportunity to share your perspectives during the viewers' reactions. The Camnet TV Lunchtime Cafe is an all-inclusive buffet. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back, and now in international news. After nearly 3 weeks of appealing to the United States and other allies for help in restoring Niger's president to power, friends and supporters of the democratically elected leader are making a simpler plea: save his life. President Mohamed BAZOUM, leader of the last remaining Western allied democracy across the vast stretch of Africa's Sahara and Sahel, sits confined with his family in an unlit basement of his presidential compound. He is cut off from resupplies of food and from electricity and cooking gas by the junta that overthrew him, Niger's ambassador to the United States told the Associated Press. We now get into sports news. Forest Rangers have beaten Power Dynamos by 3-1 in the curling black label Samuel Zumunjovu Charity Shield played at Levi Monawasa Stadium in Ndola. Moela Libamba, Gerard Simusokwe and Lazarus Chishimba scored for Power Dynamos in the 24th, for Forest Rangers rather, in the 24th, 40th and 45th minutes respectively to seal the win. The win came after Power took the lead early on in the 14th minute through Andy Boyeli. The Charity Shield precedes the opening of the 2023-2024 Zambia Super League, which kicks off on the 19th of August 2023. Co-hosts Australia have beaten France by 7-6 in a thrilling penalty shootout to reach the semi-finals of the Women's World Cup for the first time in its history. Australia now goes to Sydney on Wednesday to face the winner of the final last 8 tie between England and Colombia. Courtney Vine scored the winning penalty to end a remarkable shootout that saw both teams take 10 spot kicks, the quarterfinal having ended in a 0-0 draw after 120 nerve-shredding minutes. Vine held her nerve to send the crowd into raptures and keep the Matildas' dream of winning the World Cup on the home soil alive. Australia goalkeeper Mackenzie Arnold missed a chance to win the shootout when her kick hit the post, but then saved twice from Kanza Daly, and after the VAR spotted she had both feet off the line for the first time. South Africa coach Jacques Nenba on Saturday slammed suggestions that one of the 33 players chosen for the Rugby World Cup would fake an injury in order to include ace flying half Andre Pollard as a late replacement. Pollard, a mainstay of the 2019 World Cup triumph in Japan, was a shock omission from the Springboks squad for France, as he is not fully fit after a calf injury. Fellow World Cup winners, 3 center players, were also ruled out of the September 8 to October 28 tournament. All 3 are scheduled to leave Johannesburg with the World Cup squad on Saturday as the Springboks continue preparations for their title defense. We have more in the following report.
South Africa coach Jacques Ninaba has slammed suggestions that one of the 33 players chosen for the Rugby World Cup would fake an injury in order to include ace fly half Andre Pollard as a late replacement. Nineba told the press conference at the Johannesburg airport on Saturday amid rumors and the shock omission of Pollard from the Springbok squad for France. Pollard, who is with a calf injury, was a mainstay of the 2019 World Cup triumph in Japan. Fellow World Cup winners, center Lukayo Am and lock Lud Dejaga, were also ruled out of the September 8 to October 28 tournament. All 3 left Johannesburg on Saturday with the World Cup squad as the Springboks continue preparations for their title defense. South Africa, the reigning champions, play warm-up matches against Wales in Cardiff on August 19 and New Zealand in London on August 25. The 2023 Rugby World Cup takes place in France in September.
To end the news, another look at the stories that made the headlines. A LUSAKA woman disrupts a wedding of a self-proclaimed prophet. Senior citizens bemoan the lack of employment. Government opposes the proposal to establish a teachers' bank. And in international news, concern mounts over well-being of overthrown Niger leader Mohamed BAZOUM. And in sports news, France bows out of the Women's World Cup. And now we look at the Camnet verse of the day, which comes from the book of Acts chapter 2, verse 21, and it reads, "And everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved." That's it. That's all we had for the news. Don't forget to join us for another bulletin. On behalf of the entire news team, my name is Marco Kwakozi. Have a blessed night.